Welcome to my channel. Value quarter dollar. The 1972 United States half dollar is officially known as the Kennedy half dollar, a coin that continued a series first issued in 1964 to honor John F. Kennedy after his assassination in 1963. By 1972, the half dollar was no longer widely used in everyday commerce, but it remained an important circulating coin and a popular collectible. The obverse front of the coin features a left-facing portrait of President Kennedy designed by Gilroy Roberts. Around the portrait appears the word Liberty along the upper rim, while the date 1972 is positioned at the bottom. The national motto, "In God We Trust," is placed in a distinctive position below Kennedy's neck and above the date. This motto has a long history in American coinage. Although it first appeared on certain U.S. coins during the 19th century, legislation in the 1950s expanded its use across all denominations. The phrase expresses a traditional national sentiment and has appeared on virtually all modern United States coins since that period. The reverse back of the 1972 Kennedy half dollar displays the presidential coat of arms adapted by Frank Gasparro. At the center is a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings. The eagle holds an olive branch in one talon, symbolizing peace, and arrows in the other, symbolizing readiness to defend the nation. Above the eagle is a cluster of stars surrounded by rays. Around the outer edge appears the legend United States of America, identifying the issuing country. Beneath the eagle is the denomination half dollar. Another important inscription on the reverse is the Latin phrase, E pluribus unum, which translates as, out of many, one. This motto reflects the union of many states and peoples into a single nation. The phrase has been associated with the United States since the 18th century and appears on numerous U.S. coins and government symbols. On the Kennedy half dollar, the motto is placed above the eagle's head and below the ring of stars. The 1972 Kennedy half dollar was struck by the United States Mint at several mint facilities. Coins without a mint mark were produced in Philadelphia. Coins bearing a D mint mark were struck in Denver. Proof coins intended for collectors were produced in San Francisco and generally carry an S mint mark. By 1972, Kennedy half dollars intended for circulation were composed of a copper, nickel-clad structure rather than the 90% silver composition used in 1964. The coin consists of outer layers of copper-nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This composition was adopted to reduce precious metal content and production costs while maintaining durability and a familiar appearance. Physically, the 1972 Kennedy half dollar has a diameter of approximately 30.6 mm and a weight of about 11.34 grams. The edge is reeded, meaning it contains a series of small grooves around the circumference. The coin's large size and substantial weight distinguish it from smaller U.S. denominations such as the quarter and dime. Despite these characteristics, public use of the half dollar gradually declined during the late 20th century as Americans increasingly relied on other denominations and, later, electronic payment methods. Consequently, many 1972 half dollars were saved by collectors or remained in bank vaults rather than circulating heavily in daily transactions. From a numismatic perspective, the 1972 Kennedy half dollar is an accessible and widely collected issue. Because millions were produced, circulated examples are generally common. Collectors often seek coins in higher grades with strong luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp details. Proof versions from San Francisco are especially popular because they were struck using specially prepared dies in polished planchets, creating mirrored fields and frosted design elements. Some collectors assemble complete date and mint mark sets of Kennedy half dollars, while others focus on high-grade certified examples or varieties. Although most 1972 half dollars do not command large premiums in circulated condition, exceptional uncirculated specimens and top-quality proofs can be more desirable. The artistic symbolism of the coin reflects several themes central to American history and identity. The portrait of President Kennedy commemorates a leader remembered for his role during the early 1960s. including the space race, civil rights developments, and significant Cold War events. The inscription Liberty emphasizes one of the foundational ideals of the United States. In God We Trust serves as a national motto appearing on American currency. E Pluribus Unum highlights unity among diverse states and populations. The eagle, olive branch, arrows, stars, and rays together form a complex emblem representing national sovereignty, peace, strength, and aspiration. The Kennedy half-dollar series remains one of the most recognizable modern American coin series. The 1972 issue occupies an interesting place within that history because it belongs to the early copper, nickel-clad era following the transition away from silver coinage. It illustrates changes in United States monetary policy, minting technology, and public coin usage during the late 20th century. For collectors, historians, and students of American culture, the coin provides a compact record of national symbolism. Every inscription, United States of America, Liberty, In God We Trust, E Pluribus Unum, and half-dollar, contributes to a broader story about the country's values, government, and heritage. Even though the 1972 Kennedy half-dollar is a common issue, it remains an important artifact that connects numismatics, history, art, politics, and the evolution of American currency. The next top. The 1973 United States half-dollar is a fascinating coin that represents an important period in American history, culture, and numismatics. Officially known as the Kennedy half-dollar, this coin was issued by the United States Mint and honors the memory of John F. Kennedy, who was assassinated in 1963. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964 and quickly became one of the most recognized coins in American circulation. By 1973, the coin had already been in production for nearly a decade and was struck primarily for circulation and collector purposes. The coin has a diameter of 30.6 millimeters, weighs 11.34 grams, and is composed of a copper nickel-clad alloy. Unlike the 1964 version, which contained 90% silver, the 1973 issue contains no silver in its standard circulation. Strikes. On the obverse, front, side appears a left-facing portrait of President Kennedy designed by Gilroy Roberts. Around the portrait are the inscriptions, Liberty, the date, 1973, and the national motto, In God We Trust. The phrase, In God We Trust, has deep historical significance in the United States and became the official national motto in 1956. It reflects a long-standing tradition of acknowledging faith and divine guidance in American public life. On the Kennedy half-dollar, the motto is positioned below Kennedy's neck and above the date, making it a prominent feature of the design. The reverse, back, of the coin displays the presidential coat of arms, adapted by Frank Gasparro. The design features a heraldic eagle with its wings spread wide. The eagle holds an olive branch in one talon, symbolizing peace, and arrows in the other, symbolizing readiness to defend the nation. Above the eagle is a ring of stars representing the states of the Union. Surrounding the design are the inscriptions, United States of America, and half-dollar. One of the most notable inscriptions on the reverse is the Latin phrase, E Pluribus Unum, which translates to, out of many, one. This phrase has been used on American coinage for centuries and reflects the idea that the United States was formed from many states, peoples, and cultures united into one nation. The motto originated in the 18th century and became closely associated with the founding ideals of the United States. On the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar, E Pluribus Unum appears on a ribbon above the eagle's head, adding both historical and symbolic significance to the coin. Collectors often distinguish between coins struck at different mint facilities. In 1973, Kennedy half-dollars were produced at the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint for circulation. Coins from Denver carry a small D mint mark, while Philadelphia coins from that year generally have no mint mark. Additionally, proof versions were produced at the San Francisco Mint for collectors. Proof coins were specially struck using polished dies and planchets, resulting in a mirror-like finish and sharper details. Many collectors seek proof examples because of their superior appearance and historical appeal. The artistic design of the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar continues to attract attention from coin enthusiasts around the world. Kennedy's portrait captures the youthful and energetic image associated with his presidency. The reverse design, derived from the presidential seal, reinforces themes of national unity, strength, and democratic governance. Together, the obverse and reverse inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and "E Pluribus Unum," tell a story about American values. Liberty emphasizes individual freedom, "In God We Trust" reflects spiritual and cultural traditions, and "E Pluribus Unum" symbolizes unity among diverse people and states. Although half-dollars circulated widely in earlier decades, by the 1970s they were becoming less common in everyday commerce. The rise of vending machines and changing consumer habits reduced the demand for 50-cent coins. As a result, many 1973 Kennedy half-dollars were saved by the public rather than heavily circulated. Today, these coins remain readily available to collectors. Most circulated examples are worth only a modest premium above face value, while uncirculated and proof specimens can command higher prices depending on condition and rarity. Coins graded at the highest mint state levels by professional grading services are especially desirable among advanced collectors. From a historical perspective, the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar serves as a small metal record of American history. It commemorates a president whose legacy continues to be studied and debated, preserves important national mottos, and reflects the craftsmanship of the United States Mint. The inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum," are more than decorative elements. They embody principles and traditions that have shaped the nation. Whether viewed as a collectible, a piece of art, or a historical artifact, the 1973 half-dollar remains an enduring symbol of the United States and its ideals. The next top. The 1974 United States half-dollar is a fascinating coin that reflects American history, national values, and the legacy of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Officially known as the Kennedy half-dollar, it was produced by the United States Mint and carries several important inscriptions, including "In God We Trust" and "E Pluribus Unum." The obverse, front, of the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar features a portrait of President Kennedy facing left. This portrait was designed by Gilroy Roberts. Around the portrait appears the word "Liberty" along the upper edge of the coin. The date 1974 is located at the bottom. The national motto "In God We Trust" is split into two parts beneath Kennedy's neck, with "In God" on the left and "We Trust" on the right. This motto has appeared on U.S. coins for many years and expresses a traditional statement of faith and trust in God. The phrase became increasingly common on American coinage during the 19th century and was officially adopted as the national motto of the United States in 1956. The reverse, back, of the coin was designed by Frank Gasparro. It displays the presidential seal, showing a heraldic eagle with wings spread. The eagle holds an olive branch in one talon, symbolizing peace, and arrows in the other, symbolizing readiness to defend the nation. Above the eagle is a cluster of stars surrounded by rays. Around the edge are the words "United States of America" and half-dollar. The Latin motto "E Pluribus Unum" appears on a ribbon above the eagle's head. This phrase translates as, "out of many, one." It represents the union of many states and peoples into a single nation, and has been used on American coins since the 18th century. The 1974 Kennedy half-dollar was struck primarily in a copper, nickel-clad composition rather than the 90% silver used in earlier U.S. half-dollars before 1965. The coin weighs approximately 11.34 grams and has a diameter of 30.6 millimeters. Coins were minted at the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark, while Denver examples display a D mint mark. Collectors often seek 1974 half-dollars because they are part of the long-running Kennedy series. Although most circulated examples are common and generally worth only a modest premium over face value, High-grade uncirculated coins and special collector versions can be more valuable. The coin serves as both a circulating piece of currency and a memorial to President Kennedy, whose assassination in 1963 deeply affected the nation. The Kennedy half-dollar was introduced in 1964, only months after his death, and quickly became one of the most recognized coins in American numismatic history. The inscriptions on the coin carry important symbolic meaning. Liberty represents freedom and democratic ideals. In God We Trust expresses a national motto emphasizing faith and trust. E Pluribus Unum highlights unity among diverse states and citizens. United States of America identifies the issuing nation, while half-dollar states the denomination of 50 cents. Together, these words communicate the principles, identity, and history of the United States. Today, the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar remains a popular collectible among coin enthusiasts, historians, and students of American culture. Its combination of historical significance, artistic design, and meaningful inscriptions makes it an enduring symbol of the United States and an important part of American coinage history. The next top. The 1978 United States half-dollar is part of the Kennedy half-dollar series, which was first introduced in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his assassination in 1963. By 1978, the coin was no longer made of silver, instead, it was struck in a copper, nickel-clad composition, outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, which had been in use since 1971 after silver was removed from circulation coinage. The obverse, front, of the coin features a left-facing portrait of John F. Kennedy designed by Gilroy Roberts, with the inscriptions, Liberty, above the portrait, the year, 1978, below, and the motto, In God We Trust, split on either side of Kennedy's neck. The reverse, back, designed by Frank Gasparo, shows the presidential seal, a heraldic eagle with a shield on its chest, holding an olive branch in one talon and arrows in the other, symbolizing peace and defense. Surrounding the design are the inscriptions, United States of America, at the top and half-dollar at the bottom, along with the national motto, E Pluribus Unum, meaning, out of many, one, placed above the eagle. Coins from 1978 were minted at 3 facilities. Philadelphia, no mint mark. Denver, marked D, and San Francisco, marked S, mainly for proof coins. In 1978, half-dollars were still produced for circulation, but they were not commonly used in everyday transactions. So many were stored in banks or collected rather than widely circulated. Because of this, most 1978 Kennedy half-dollars are still relatively common in uncirculated or lightly circulated condition. Their value today is generally modest, typically close to face value for circulated examples, while uncirculated or proof versions may range higher depending on condition, strike quality, and grading. Errors such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, or high-grade proof specimens can increase collector interest and value. The design remains significant in U.S. numismatic history because it represents the long-running tribute to Kennedy and the transition of U.S. coinage from silver to clad metal, reflecting economic changes of the 1960s and 1970s while preserving national symbolism through its inscriptions and imagery.